A really important thing about Jungle Book is the voice casting.
All of the voice talents are unique and superb and spot on, and they carry the story and they carry our affections.
This was probably the first time that Disney used people like Phil Harris and Louis Prima and George Sanders, who'd been on TV and in movies, very high-profile, visible figures, as opposed to radio stars like earlier.
He did a little bit of that in Pinocchio.
Cricket's the name. Jiminy Cricket.
Hiring people who, at least as character actors, the audience would recognize. So when you get to something like The Jungle Book, I mean, it's kind of the farthest extension of this idea, because many of the voices, Phil Harris's voice, for example, is instantly recognizable.
Who, me? Sure I am.
George Sanders is pretty recognizable.
I say.
So here, the characters could be shaped around the voice.
Walt actually cast Phil Harris as Baloo because Walt knew him socially. Well, Phil Harris was married to Alice Faye, and they used to go to parties. And one day he said, I want him to be Baloo. And this was a shocking thing. How could Phil Harris, a Dixieland jazz musician, wisecracking guy, the sidekick of Jack Benny, how could he be a Kipling character?
Even Harris himself apparently, thought Walt was crazy. Like, what am I going to do? I don't do this.
So I got up and I started to read this thing, and I got about about 2 or 3 lines, and I looked over at Willie Wrightham, and I said, I can't do it. It just doesn't feel natural.
It ain't easy learning to be like me.
They said, well, Phil, what do you suggest? I don't know what made me say it. I said, well, do you mind if I do it the way I would do it? And they said, go ahead and try it. I said, look, kid, you keep fooling around in here with these animals like that monkey will eat you. You get your roof knocked in.
A lot of the things that are in the film are things that Harris came up with. No, the scriptwriters or the storymen did not come up with. Harris would have improvised this right on the stage.
And the animators suddenly had new life in the project. Ollie Johnson said to me that when Walt decided that Phil Harris was going to do the voice for Baloo, and they knew that they had a character that really worked, he said that was the turning point.
That is one of the greatest characters that Disney animation has ever done. And everybody knows somebody like that guy. There are people who breeze through life and just kind of enjoy themselves.
I mean a doobie 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 dee doo.
And sometimes this actor is so identified with his voice that you might actually physically want to put something of that into the character. I mean, actually caricature the actor a little bit into the character.
Ken Anderson used the visage of George Sanders for Shere Khan, and it really works wonderfully.
Bravo, bravo.